took a lot of getting hold of.
I tell you one that it caused me a great big problem, again through lack of information. Do you remember the organ? Well, organs now are everywhere. In those days they weren't so plentiful, but still obtainable, especially as I had an uncle that actually worked, for Hammond. I thought, my God, no problem there. But again, we had this situation of no script, and we were shooting on the Monday. It was Christmas time, and we were shooting on the Monday. It was like the Christmas period. We were shooting on the Monday, and on the Friday, I was asked for an organ for shooting Monday, which means it had to be obtained that day because Saturday and Sunday are lost days, with most things anyway. I wasn't too bothered at the time because we hired organs before, and I found all my contacts, including my uncle who worked for a firm called Boozy and Hawkes, who actually had Hammond's was part of. And nobody could do anything for me, not in that short time. Certainly nothing would come out of the factory, from Boozy's in that short time. But there were lots of firms that had these things that used to hire out. And I contacted one after the other. I went through the book, one after the other. But in the Christmas period, that was all booked. All booked for parties, all booked for gigs, all booked. None available. I went to one company after the other, bearing in mind that I've only got hours to do this in now. And I finally went to town and put myself in town at one of my suppliers, and there began to make all the contacts that they knew, that I knew. No success. Now I'm getting desperate. Now I'm getting very desperate. I had a row with Jack because I said, Jack, who knew about this? Why am I told Friday for Monday? But again, it was because the information, no script, and the information had not filtered through to me, when it should have. Finally, in desperation, I went into King Street, Hammersmith, where there was a company called Western Music. And I walked up, and in the window was the very organ that I wanted, sitting there in the window. Now, Western Music, they sell things, but I don't know if they do now, but in those days they certainly didn't hire anything. This was a shop to sell musical instruments, and they had this one organ. And I went into the shop, and I begged, and I pleaded, and I cried, and I screamed, and I had hysterics, and eventually they let me have the organ. I used their phone, I phoned the studio, I got transport out, and it came out the shop window, onto the van, into the studio, and it was shot on the Monday morning. But by then I was in a state of nervous hysteria, because you have to come up with it, you can't fail. And it's normally not a difficult thing. It just happened to be that time of the year. They were all booked, all the parties, and I got this one straight out the window on condition. We did a deal for cash, but on condition that it went back and it was insured and all the usual things. And I said yes to everything then, as long as I got it into the studio.